The Colorado Rockies are up next at number 10. A year ago, they had the 8th overall selection, Benny Montgomery, the outfielders who they selected. It's time to find out who they're taking tonight.
With the 10th pick of the 2022 MLB Draft, the Colorado Rockies select Gabriel Hughes, a right-handed pitcher from Gonzaga University. The New York Mets have the next pick.
He's 6'4", 220-pound right-hander. Gabriel Hughes, 20 years of age, sophomore from Gonzaga, really improved his command in 2022. K per 9, almost 13 in 98 innings. ERA, a hair over 3.2. Gabriel Hughes goes 10th overall to the Rockies, and he's standing in our draft spotlight.
I'm a pretty intense person on the mound, and I'm a pretty intense pitcher. Like, I pitch with a lot of emotion and energy and kind of flames. And so something I like to hear would be like a comp to Mad Max out there on the mound. Just someone who's psycho and out there as a complete competitor. And you can see the flames coming out of his ears when he pitched. My grandpa played minor league ball for the Tigers back in the 60s. And kind of what I took away from him is just the love of the game. For me, I just love the challenge of showing up every day, ready to compete and try to better myself every single day.
So Gabriel Hughes goes to the Rockies. Let's go upstairs, see what Jonathan Mayo, Carlos Collazo, Baseball America. What do you guys make of this pick?
Well, Carl, I'm glad I talked about him during the open. Now I'm looking a lot smarter. We thought he was going to go a little bit later. What were you saying, Carlos?
I think he's the first healthy
pitcher to go.
Pitcher.
So many more pitchers than we thought, but I mean, Hughes kind of looks like the prototypical starter. This year he went out, was their Friday night starter for a pretty good Gonzaga staff. He's got the makings of 3 pitches. He got a little tired at the end, and I think that caused his numbers to back up a little bit. But I do think that this is a rare case where you have a college arm, 1 who's healthy, and 2 with some ceiling.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the big thing for me is he really improved the strike throwing this year. That was impressive. The fastball command got a little bit better. And I think more important than anything, just the fact that he was healthy and posting regularly. There are not a ton of pitchers that we're going to talk about that have done that. He's also young for the class, which is another factor. So he checks a lot of boxes.
All right, guys, well done on Gabriel Hughes, the 10th overall selection of the Colorado Rockies. The next pick, it's a compensation pick for the Rockies at number 31. Just look at the big board. The Rockies have already made a selection tonight. At number 10, Gabriel Hughes, a right-hander. So this is their second pick of the night. After this, there's another compensation pick, the Cincinnati Reds. And then Tony, Harold, and our night will be concluded. Yes. And we will have a crew ready to come in and take it over
like
from
you
there.
Guys.
Let's go to this guy right now at the podium.
With the 31st pick of the 2022 MLB Draft, the Colorado Rockies select Sterlin Thompson, an outfielder from the University of Florida. The Cincinnati Reds have the next pick.
A 6'4", 200-pounder. He's an outfielder / third baseman. Played in all 66 games for the Gators. Hit over 350, OPS over 1,000. And Sterlin Thompson is in our draft spotlight.
I mean, it means everything. It's a dream come true. My current walk-up song is For Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica. I'm a big leaguer. I love watching play. It's Corey Seager. Favorite thing to do when I'm not playing baseball would probably be hunt and fish. Someone that would be nervous to me would be Tom Brady.
As you see the reaction in the Thompson family household, it's time to party. Sterlin Thompson's like, I get to go hit in Colorado.
And he raked Tennessee. I mean,
thanks, bud. I appreciate it. Kick us while we're down. Hey, to talk to Sully down there at Florida, and for him to react the way he did when I asked him about how good of a hitter this is, and it was a sincere reaction. Think about all the great players he's had. He's maybe wanting to label this guy, I don't want to get him in trouble, but the best. He basically freaked out about it, and we did too when we were trying to face him. You see him hitting right here. I know one thing you guys might ask is, what was our pitching plan? I talked to Frank again today. We tried everything, and if we went in, it's dangerous. If you go away, he's going to hit a double to left. And the other thing about watching him play all year long in our league, clutch hitter. I mean, he just kind of seemed to have a knack for getting his hits when it mattered most, but he also gets hits all the time. A great matchup for Colorado.
Do you remember a guy named Jim Eisenreich?
Of course I do.
That's who he reminds me of.
Hustler.
Former Philly, Jim Eisenreich. What do you think of Sterlin Thompson?
I think Tony hit the nail on the head. I think he hasn't even touched his power yet. I think this guy is well above average. Rockies draft hitters first. The power comes. This fits their profile perfectly. I think he's really going to be good in that ballpark. Bottom line, he's going to hit in any ballpark. Uses the entire field. And I think, again, he is just beginning to get into the power that's there.
Another left-hand hitter to Colorado.
And another sophomore eligible guy. He's young. I mean, if you look at him, he's nowhere near to be physically mature, and he's a high school shortstop. The position thing will work itself out, but clearly he's going to hit.
The Rockies are up next.
Hi, I'm Clint Hurdle. With the 38th pick of the 2022 MLB draft, the Colorado Rockies select Jordan Beck, an outfielder from the University of Tennessee. The San Diego Padres have the next pick.
As a junior who can really slug it, and he showed up big for Tennessee. What do you think of Jordan Beck, Carlos?
Yeah, it's super toolsy. I mean, this is a guy with maybe plus run, plus power, plus arm. Early on, he was really impressive. I think there are some zone management questions you have. He swings and misses a little bit. That's maybe why he fell this far, because the exit velocities are phenomenal. He's a really unique athlete for his size, plays corner outfield right now. But I think maybe has a chance to play center depending on who else you have out there.
Yeah, I think he probably would have played center for Tennessee if they didn't have Drew Gilbert.
Exactly.
We already heard his name called today. A big physical right fielder who's athletic. He gets a lot of comparisons to Hunter Renfroe.
I like that
I think
one.
everybody heard those comps talking to area guys in Tennessee. And I think you're right. You know, some swing and miss issues a little bit. And that's why he went here instead of in the first round, because there was a lot of 20s buzz on him.
You know, I do think he cleaned up his swing approach from last year to this year. I thought his path was way cleaner. I think this kid's just stepping into his power. I think he profiles really well in that ballpark as an athlete. I put a Rob Deere on him because I saw some similarities with that.
Rob Deere. What do you think, Jim?
Yeah, I can see that. I like that. I'll still stick with Hunter Renfroe.
I gotcha. Yep.
I like Rob Deere, too.
With Caden Wallace at 49 and 50, it's the Rockies. Clint Hurdle.
Still waiting? Yeah, you keep waiting. With the 50th pick of the 2022 Major League Baseball draft, the Colorado Rockies select Jackson Cox, a right-handed pitcher from Toutle Lake High School, Toutle, Washington. The Detroit Tigers have the next pick.
Jackson Cox, the 18-year-old high schooler in Washington State, Carlos, going number 50 overall to the Colorado Rockies. And what are the Rockies getting?
They're getting someone who can really spin the baseball. I mean, if you like breaking balls, if you like high spin rate pitches, this is the guy for you. I think it's a case for one of the better breaking balls in the high school class. He's a guy who really overhauled his body in the offseason. Scouts really praised what he did in between the spring and last fall. The fastball velocity increased, so I think the fastball curveball combination is what you're excited about here.
Yeah, and there's some feel for a change. He can throw strikes. He's not just a guy who goes up there and throws curveball after curveball against high school competition. And I had some area scouts in the Pacific Northwest who actually liked him as much as J.R. Ritchie, who we saw go a little while ago, mostly because of that high spin rate curveball. But the fastball's above average, that feel for a change. He's not one of these tall, projectable right-handers that we sometimes love to see coming out of high school, but he already knows how to pitch.
And he weathered the conditions out there, too. He pitched through some rainouts, cold weather. It's not easy up there. And, hey, if you go back 4 or 5 hours ago and you were watching MLB
really
tonight.
Interesting draft. I think the Rockies, they drafted a accomplished college pitcher, 2 corner outfield bats that really profile well for him, and then a high school arm. I mean, they've had a very interesting draft.
I remember Jonathan Mayo was a big fan of Gabriel Hughes. We talked about him before this draft began.
Yeah, it was funny because there were teams picking in the 20s who said, he's not getting to us. And I was like, I'm not hearing his name. And then we started hearing his name. And I know if the Rockies hadn't taken him, there were some teams right behind the Rockies that were very interested in him. I think when you have a college arm who's had some success, even though he fatigued at the end, with upside because he was a two-way player, you don't see that very often.
Were you surprised how some teams jumped on pitching maybe a little bit earlier than anticipated, Carlos? Based on mocks.
Yeah, I think so. We were talking the whole time about how we could have a really hitter-heavy top 10. We saw 2 pitchers go. I know Jim was talking about how Cade Horton had a chance to sneak in there, but certainly Rocker going 3 was surprising. But teams like pitching and they need it.